Before we get started, this is your final warning. Arlapalooza 2018 is on October 6th in Redding, California, so follow the link in the description if you want to go. And I will also be at Retropalooza in Texas, like, right now! And that's it, bye! Cha! It's been quite a long time, my friends. Switch era Nintendo has been making good decisions and putting out good games left and right. Some missteps here and there, but nothing major. It has finally happened, though. I am channeling 2016 Arlo, and I'm here to say... I think Nintendo is doing something bad, and I'm gonna talk about it. If Game Explain's got an analysis machine, I've got a criticism machine. This year, it's been able to chew on the likes of Kirby and Mario Tennis, but those were just appetizers. Okay games, lack of ambition and content being their biggest crimes. But here we've got something that I've got a straight-up problem with, and that something is, of course, Nintendo Switch Online. Funny thing is, it's not like a terrible, awful service with no value. It's fine on paper. At a glance, it's a fairly reasonable service for the price, but as is often the case with these kinds of things, the devil is in the details. I know this is a very divisive subject. I'm seeing plenty of people firmly on both sides of the fence. And you know what? Until recently, I was on the side that thought $20 isn't a lot of money. It's 1/3 the price of what Sony and Microsoft charge for online services. And again, on paper, I still believe that's true. See, I've never understood the idea that online play should be free for everyone. I'll admit I don't know a whole lot about how all this stuff works, but from my perspective at least, why wouldn't it cost money for a company to maintain their online services? You need servers, you need tech support people, you need full-time programmers to keep things running. Those things cost money. They just do. The number one argument I've seen for the idea that paying for online should always be free and that Sony and Microsoft are just greedy is that Steam's online is free. If they can make their online free, why can't everyone else? Well, the way I see it, it's probably because they're the biggest distributor of digital video games in the world. Their entire business is about online infrastructure. They make billions and billions of dollars on digital sales, and they collect 100% of the profit from the monetization of some of the platform's biggest games. It is very much in their best interest to keep the service free to keep the user base so high. But you know what? For the sake of this argument, let's just say that I'm wrong, and that while it does cost money to do all this stuff, it's a drop in the bucket compared to the money each of these companies is making. I mean, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft all have marketplaces too. They all profit from games being sold on their systems. Wouldn't they want to incentivize people to keep playing on their systems too? So let's just say they are doing this purely for the profit. Fine. I'm not going to say that that's wrong, as many people seem to think. This is business we're talking about here. Offering a service and selling it to your customers at a profit is how it works. Just because something doesn't cost a company a lot of money to offer doesn't necessarily mean they're morally obligated to give it away for free or incredibly, incredibly cheap. Carl's Jr. could give away their soda for free. I mean, what are we talking, 5 cents of sugar water for a large? Or they could sell it to you for $2 and make billions more dollars a year. They'd be stupid not to. If the customer's willing to pay, they're gonna charge. So even if hosting servers doesn't cost too much money for a big video game company, the fact that it costs anything at all means that, yeah, they're gonna charge for it. They don't want to do it all for free, and I completely understand paying for it. I don't play a lot of competitive games, and I've always thought that $60 a year was a little too pricey for online services on Xbox and PlayStation, but $20 for Switch? All right, sure. I am willing to pay $20 a year to play Switch games online. Online play has left a lot to be desired on Nintendo's past system, so if this is what it will take to get them to use dedicated servers and give us a better online experience, so be it. You may be thinking, well, then what's the problem, Arlo? If you're willing to pay for better online, why are you complaining? Well, it's because we're not paying for better online, or at least not necessarily. A peer-to-peer connection is, as I understand it, when multiple people play online together by connecting directly to each other. They've got their hardware, their internet connections, and that's about it. This is an inferior and very flawed form of connection. Without a server to keep things running smoothly and consistently, it all comes down to how good each player's internet is. Any hiccups there can lead to big problems, and players can even throttle their upload speeds in order to cheat. Basically, with peer-to-peer connections, a company has to do practically none of the work, and the players are the ones who suffer the consequences. I was fine with the idea of paying for online until I learned that not all games will receive dedicated servers as a result. For some games, finally paying for online will simply not improve the experience. But which games do have servers and which ones use peer-to-peer? Well, in an interview, Reggie mentioned how they were investing in servers for, at the very least, Mario Kart and Smash. And hey, that's great. If any game should have dedicated servers, it's Smash, right? But guess what huge, super duper important multiplayer Nintendo game doesn't have dedicated servers? Too late, I'm already telling you, it's Splatoon 2! That's right, Nintendo's big online competitive shooter is strictly peer-to-peer. Now, I've lauded Splatoon 2's reliability in the past, and it does work pretty well most of the time, as well as I think you can expect peer-to-peer to work. But it's never been perfect, and in fact, as time has gone on, I've seen more and more cases of it really messing up, heard more and more people complain about it. And back when all this was free, I was like, hey, at least it's free. But now that we're paying for the privilege of going online, it's pretty silly that we can't expect a better service on Splatoon. There are some people who have put hundreds of hours into the game. Their Switches are their Splatoon machines. They're really serious about it, and now they've got to pay for nothing to be better. Nintendo made tens of millions of dollars overnight just by flipping their big Switch Online lever, and they're not willing to throw a little bit of that at Splatoon, easily their biggest online game right now? And what about the future? What future games will be affected by a lack of dedicated servers? My Switch Online subscription should give me peace of mind, but it doesn't. Because in some cases, it's paying for nothing. I am paying for no benefit at all. And I know that many people will now remind me that Microsoft and Sony and some big publishers use peer-to-peer too, despite PS Plus and Xbox Live Gold costing quite a lot, and to that I say, yeah, that stinks too. Doesn't make this any better, and I suggest any Sony or Microsoft-themed channels take it up with their preferred companies. I will note here that dedicated servers are not the only problem with Switch Online, and plenty of games can effectively use peer-to-peer connections without too much trouble. Like I said earlier, I don't know a lot about this stuff, but it seems like another problem is Netcode, which very basically is the overall quality of an online service and the connections it provides. This is a little less tangible than just throwing extra servers at the problem, but it's important nonetheless. I can't give you a really solid opinion on this. Better netcode is something Switch Online really needs, obviously, though I can't necessarily say with complete certainty that Nintendo won't continue to invest into their basic infrastructure and improve it. Maybe they're working on that netcode as we speak, and it'll slowly get better over time. The server thing makes me think that's not super likely, but if I don't know for sure, I can't swing one way or the other. Whatever the case though, the point still stands that simply sticking online play behind a paywall without using at least some of that money to improve the overall experience is disappointing, and even if servers wouldn't fix the problem entirely, that is something tangible Nintendo could use to make things better right now. But Arlo, you might be saying. Even if some game experiences aren't improved by paying for online, that doesn't mean you're paying for nothing. There are two other major features that come with a Switch Online subscription. And you're right, so let's talk about those two. The first one is cloud saves. Your Switch Online subscription gives you the ability to back up your game saves so that if anything ever happens to your Switch, you don't lose progress in your games. Save files are usually such paltry amounts of data that one could argue it's a silly thing to charge for at all. I mean, if Google can offer 15 gigs free to every account, I feel like the big three can probably spring for like a gig a person at absolutely no cost to them. But hey, we've established that companies don't like to give stuff away for free, and Sony charges for cloud saves too, so fine. Cloud saves being behind a Switch Online paywall seems fine, but once again, it only seems fine until you look a little deeper. Sony charges for cloud saves, but you know what they also offer? The ability to back up your save files locally, like onto a flash drive, for free. Just like the Wii U did, and the 3DS did. The Switch though? Nope. There's no free way to back up your saves. Not only do they insist that you pay for the ability to do it, they've actually taken away the option that they've offered up to this point. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. This is nasty. Like, Nintendo, I'm sorry, this comes out of a place of love, but this is very unbecoming of you. I expect this of EA or Activision or 2K, but not you, man. This is purely anti-consumer. It's basically ransoming peace of mind. Don't like the idea of your 200 hours in Breath of the Wild going up in smoke? Then pony up! And on top of all this, cloud saves aren't even supported by every game. Want to know what first-party game doesn't support cloud saves? How about Nintendo's current biggest multiplayer game, Splatoon 2? Not only does paying for online not improve your Splatoon 2 experience, but you can't even use it to back up all of your progress and ranks and gear and everything in case your Switch gets busted. Nintendo's reason for this? They think being able to duplicate your saves will lead to cheating. Makes sense. on paper, but then you think about it, and one, other companies offer this service for their multiplayer games, and it doesn't lead to cheating. It just doesn't. It factually doesn't. And two, Splatoon 2 is already rife with cheaters, which is another online-related issue entirely. This makes absolutely no sense. If it makes any actual sense, Nintendo has not disclosed that sense to us yet. Beyond Splatoon, not even Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee will support cloud saves. No idea why. It's not even a super competitive game or anything. It just won't, though, which makes me wonder what other major first-party games going forward will neglect to use the feature that we're paying for. Will Smash offer cloud saves? I sure hope so, but hey, who knows? Lastly, we've got NES games, and let me just say, there are plenty of people who love this. For them, having access to so many NES games that you can even play online is worth $20 a year by itself. I'm very happy for those people. Those people are not wrong in any way. That is them enjoying a product, and that is great for them. But I think I speak for at least some number of people when I say that I could not possibly care less about these games or playing them online. It's been like 30 years. I'm kind of done with them. All the way done. I only downloaded the app so I could collect B-roll footage for this video. And I'm especially put off from the whole thing because I've been hearing how, oh, surprise, surprise, even NES games can be laggy because they're peer-to-peer. So, for people like me, all we have right now for our money is the ability to play online with dedicated servers only if we're lucky, and access to a feature that's nice but should have a free local equivalent, but doesn't, so it just feels gross and manipulative. And that leads into one more very big problem with Nintendo Switch Online. It's not just about what it does and doesn't offer, or how it looks up close versus how it looks on paper. It's the overall execution. I think most of us understood that we would be getting only a short period of free online with our Switches and accepted that we would soon have to pay. There was a lot of grumbling about it, but more than anything, I saw people who were ready. But Nintendo waited so long to roll out the service that we really got used to not paying. I know it's funny to complain about getting free service for too long, but I'm not kidding when I say that I think it hurt the eventual reception. We had it free for so long that finally yanking the rug out from under us was a lot more disruptive than it would have been if they'd just released it last year like they said they would. Not only did they wait too long on rolling out the service though, but they made us wait and wait and wait for specific details, and we had to just scratch our heads and speculate for like a year and a half. They told us that they would be offering a range of free NES games, but then told us that because of this, they wouldn't be bringing back the Virtual Console, and there were currently no plans to let us play things that weren't NES games. Then more recently, when they finally gave us all the details, we learned about the cloud save nonsense, which just made everyone mad. And in the Nintendo Direct, they were playing up the service as though it granted us the magical ability to play games online, like we'd been doing free for a year and a half. Before the service even launched, Nintendo managed to make most of their fans hate it. At every turn, with every announcement, they seemed to sow more and more discontent. We've all talked about how Nintendo's been much more in tune with their customers lately. For the most part, the Switch really has signified a new era for Nintendo. But everything about Nintendo Switch Online has smacked of the often tone-deaf company of yesteryear. And everything I've been talking about here today, that's saying nothing of the disappointing implementation of voice chat and other features that are standard with other online services. I've never paid for an online service before, so I can't really comment on a lot of the specifics, but it sounds like these features leave a lot to be desired. I mean, I can at least tell you that having to use voice chat through a smartphone is pretty absurd. Nothing is as simple and intuitive as it should be. The saddest part of all, though? I signed up. Yeah, I did. A lot of you guys probably did too, because if you want to play games online, you absolutely have to. I can complain all I want about how I should be able to back up my saves for free, or how if I'm paying for a service, it should at least be an all-around good service connection-wise, or how this little chunk of NES games is a constant reminder that I'm not playing any of the old games that I actually do want and would currently love to spend money on. But at the end of the day, I do what I kind of feel like I have to. It's cheap enough, that's for sure. I went in with some friends on a family plan and it was like $7 for each of us. That's very little money, but that almost makes it feel more yucky. You know what I mean? Like, I would probably be willing to pay more if it meant a really good service with all dedicated servers and SNES and N64 and maybe even GameCube games to play. But excusing what feels like a half-hearted attempt at an online service because it's cheap? Nothing Nintendo does should feel cheap. Even a cheap product should offer a good value. Nintendo would never make a bad Mario game and be like, what do you expect? It's only $10. They would make a small one or a simple one, sure, but it would still carry that Nintendo quality. Even Nintendo games that have left me unimpressed in a number of ways still carry much of that Nintendo quality. Nintendo Switch Online though? Well, at least at the moment, it doesn't really feel like it does. It feels like they can do a lot better, even for the low price. Well, I'm ready for it. With positive videos, I get comments saying, "Way to shill for Nintendo, you Nintendrone." But now that I'm doing a critical video, I'm ready for, "You're too hard on Nintendo. Stop complaining about literally everything they do." It's okay. I'm used to it. 2016 Arlo prepared me for it. Sometimes I would get both within like the same week. It was actually really interesting. Like I would post a negative video and then next I would post a positive video, and the positive video would be filled with comments of people telling me that I only do negative videos, and people are funny.